working for a couple of years now to develop something to help avoid that happening again. How much time and how long have you guys been working on putting a windscreen of some sort to try and deflect parts and pieces?
This has been almost a 4-year project. We sat down and listened to what the FIA was working on. You know, obviously Red Bull introduced a screen. Some of the other Formula One teams tried that. The FIA went down the path of, well, we just want to put a halo on the car. We felt that wasn't going to be enough. So we carried on with developing the windscreen itself, and then decided to incorporate we call it an upper frame. We think between the two of them is the best of both worlds. We had an incident a few years ago when James Hinchcliffe was hit in the head with a part of a front wing end plate at the Speedway during the Grand Prix. So we feel that we needed a windscreen to help deflect parts like, you know, aerodynamic parts, carbon parts, springs, gears. When a car hits the wall, you know, things start bouncing around. So we thought the windscreen would be a very, very logical choice for those type of incidents. But then again, we have crashes that they don't happen in Formula One or any other formula. When we're on super speedways and traveling at 230 miles an hour, cars get launched real easily. So when a car gets up into a fence or they get on top of each other, you know, we thought that we need some sort of structure that protected the driver, and that's where we came up with what like I said, we call it the upper frame.
Something that's concerned me, and I've asked this question a number of times and never really got. A couple people said, well, we can't do it, it's too expensive, and that is, I think Pocono is one, and I think Las Vegas is one where the pole that holds the fence up is on the track side instead of on the back side.
Yeah.
Would it not be better on the back side? If a car hits it, the fence would slide and you could slide through.
Right. You know, that's a track owner's decision. You know, we ask and we try to give them information to help persuade them to do that, but yet tracks still decide, you know, how they want their fencing configured.
Well, that doesn't make sense, which, you know, it hurt somebody. Now, I realize it probably costs more than $150 to fix it.
Yeah, it's expensive.
What kind of material? I know when the windscreen originally was up, PPG had a material that did not deflect. When you looked on the side, there was straight vision. It wasn't, you know, distorted. But I understand that when you started testing that, you found that wasn't strong enough. And what came off of, they use it in fighter jets.
I'm not completely sure. There is a difference between our windscreen and the final product for a jet fighter. So, you know, theirs I think is a bit thicker, and I think the geometry provides a lot of strength. And with our geometry, you know, it just didn't seem to be enough for what we were trying to control.
Now, you've tested this, what, 4 or 5 times now?
We've been on track 4 times. We tested at the Speedway. We went to after that, we went to Barber down in Alabama. Then we went to Richmond, short track, and then we finished at Sebring 2 weeks ago.
And what's the driver's reaction? Is there enough air in the car coming through to cool them when it's 95 degrees?
They all complain that it's hot. I mean, it's a completely different environment than what they're used to. We've worked very hard at getting air into the cockpit. We think that we've been able to do that. We're working on managing and directing the air once it's in the cockpit. But at the end of the day, all the guys who have tested, it was a very, very hot day when we tested with Scott and Will at the Speedway. Both of them said they would have had no problem racing 500 miles with the configuration that we had at that point. We've since evolved. We ended up at Sebring. It was 92 degrees when we were there. Sebastian Bourdais drove one of the cars, and again, working through different combinations. At the end of the day, he says, I can go racing like this. And that was a hot day.
And I noticed there's a little opening at the bottom of the screen to let air in. How do you deflect the air to where you want it?
We have a pair of ducts that direct the air over the dash and to the driver from those ducts at the front of the screen.
Well, can I assume that there's no exploration with putting maybe an air conditioner in the car?
No, there's no plans for that at this point.
Good. You know, it's interesting to me, I think, what has come out of racing. I mean, some of the safety features that have been tested, and currently, for the most part, even Robert Wickens is recovering from his, which was obviously a very serious crash, but he's walking somewhat. He walked for his wedding, and I've seen some video of him recently, and he's doing quite well. So the safety features and what's come out of the cars. When I think back in the '60s when I first came here, good grief.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of development, and it's just ongoing exercise. We're never done. We understand that those guys are stars, and they need to be protected. So they're the number one drive as far as what we do in INDYCAR. Safety first. It's always our motto.
Yeah, it's amazing. All these guys get the credit. They're the star, they're the driver, but there's 20 guys behind them that make the car what it is. And I know that I work for a race team, and they always rotated the mechanics so that everybody knew what part does what in what section. And when you think about it, these guys are the stars, no question. They're the ones everybody knows. But the driver has to be able to tell the crew what the car is doing, and he has to have the confidence that they give him a car that he can go out, put it on the floor, and not have it fly apart on him.
Absolutely. It's like you're correct. It's a team effort, no doubt about it. But again, from our standpoint, we want to make sure that those guys all have a chance to win at the end of the day, and safety is what's going to make sure that they're all get out of the cars safely at the end of the day.
What are you working on now? Anything new that you're looking at?
We're always working on things. We obviously are going to introduce a new engine package. Along with that is a hybrid system. We're going to introduce some hybridization to our cars. So we're working pretty diligently at this point, trying to define what that package will be and how it'll be put in the car, and then how it'll be used.
So for those who don't know, and I'm probably one of them, what is a hybrid?
Simply put, it aids and assists the performance of the engine. So right now we have an internal combustion engine that runs on ethanol. The plan is to have an electric motor that will get charged, and then at some point the driver will be able to discharge that electricity back into these electric motors, which will increase the horsepower 40 to 50 more 50 more horsepower.
So essentially in 2021 you're putting 100 or a little over 100, and it could be 150 down the future.
Could be. And again, it's not where it'll be running all the time. It'll be a driver-tuned mechanism that he'll use when he needs it.
Will you limit that like they have the push-to-pass now?
What'll limit it is how fast the batteries charge and how quickly they discharge.
Are you guys heading toward Formula E?
No.
Good.
Not at all.
Good.
No, sir.
I keep mentioning this every once in a while, can you imagine if they ran a Formula E event here, which may come at some point, people in the grandstand would say, turn the PA down, it's too loud. Now you got to kind of listen to hear it. But
no, there's no plan at this point.
No, there's the sound and the smells, to me, of IndyCars is what makes it happen.
Big part of it. We're very, very proud of that.
How many people are in your staff that work on this project full-time? I'm sure everybody's full-time. You're full-time, pretty much.
We have an enormous engineering staff that challenges Formula One. We have four engineers.
Really?
And the four of us are working on this project.
For Pete's sake, Formula One's got 4 guys that clean the johns.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic there.
And strangely enough, some of the crews at their shops, they got 200 and 300 people on them.
They sure do.
And you got 4.
Yep.
And you guys run a better race than they do.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Do when you test, do you try and give everybody an opportunity to drive these cars? I mean, I asked the same thing at Firestone. Do you rotate? Could you need, everybody doesn't handle a car the same way.
Right.
So you got to know how the lesser team driver works as opposed to Scott Dixon, who you know is.
Sure. I mean, we would love to have everybody have a shot at testing tires and having a shot at testing, developmental parts. But just the fact is some teams aren't really prepared to be able to do that. So, we tend to gravitate towards the bigger teams because we know when we show up that we'll be able to go testing immediately. We'll get good data and good feedback from those drivers and those teams.
It's always impressed me or intrigued me that you could take two guys on a race team, set the cars up identical, and one guy will get out and say, boy, that's good. The other one will say, you got to be kidding. I couldn't drive this thing to the grocery store.
That's the seat of their pants.
Yeah, it's always amazed me. They think, God, this car is quick, and they put another driver and say, gee, many Christmas, I'm afraid I'm going to kill myself.
Yep, that happens.
Oh, yeah, it happens frequently. How much safety has been built into what used to be called the softer wall. When we got to see it the first time at the Speedway, I ran into it. It wasn't soft at all. I about hurt myself. But that thing has been phenomenal for everybody.
Yeah, we've been very blessed by the guys that developed it and the foresight that Tony had to make it made a mandate that would be on the Speedway, and then other tracks in turn, installed it. It for sure has saved quite a few people from a lot of damage. It's an amazing technological advancement for racing.
I think it's neat when somebody does hit it a pile and it smashes the foam behind it. You see these guys taking foam out and putting foam
put new foam back in, yeah.
That's kind of where you got a steel wall and they got foam behind it to absorb it.
It's a great idea, a great concept, and it works really well.
And I thought, who was the professor out in Nebraska? Dr. Hurt or something, I can't think of his name.
Might be. Your memory's better than mine.
Not really. And I thought, boy, his name is perfect for what he's doing. But are you involved when when Firestone tests tires?
Yes, we're there with them. We're there to ensure that they're testing, pushing the tires to the limit like we see on race weekends, because they can test a tire if the engines are turned back, and you're running at 85%, you get there and, run the tires in anger on a race weekend, and we never ran at those loads, you end up with issues. So we spend a lot of time with both manufacturers, with the teams, when we get ready to go testing tires. It's a pretty specific program, and everybody knows that they're there to get the job done.
Do the teams get to say, like Firestone, say, we want you to test for 6 hours? And the teams say, well, we'll run 2 more hours and we'll do our testing. Can they?
That's not allowed.
It's not allowed?
They're there to test tires.
Okay. All right. It's fine with me. I'll do anything you tell me.
Perfect.
But I think, it's amazing to me how Firestone can adapt. They build a tire, and now the cars are changing in 20. When you lessen downforce, they got to change the tire, make it different.
Right. I mean, they fine-tune them. When we had the testing for the 18 car in 17, they recognized they needed to make some adjustments. They're a great company to work with. They have a great approach as far as how they want to develop the tire. They don't swing for the fence. They made, like I said, made some adjustments in 18, recognized that they could make some more adjustments for 19, and I think they definitely improved the tire at several places. And again, with what we've done with the windscreen, they see some areas that they could tweak some tires for different circuits, and I think they'll come up with something that's going to be really good for next year again.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, the windscreen weighs 50 pounds.
Correct.
And it's in a different location, putting weight in a different location. How big a deal have they found to adjust the car to it?
Again, we've shown up at 4 tests and talking to the teams, they go, well, I rolled out with what I raced at Indianapolis, and both guys were able to, run the cars flat, run the cars close to each other. They didn't really notice any perceivable difference. We showed up at Barber. Both cars ran what they raced there, and they were very competitive lap times when we were there for the test. Richmond, we'd never been there. They put on setups that they thought were comparable to Iowa. Both guys got out of the car, says, yeah, it's great, don't have to make huge adjustments from what we know. And then at Sebring Street Circuit, both teams ran setups that they had run at street circuits during the course of the year. And there wasn't like we were making wholesale changes to the cars to get them to be balanced where they could run the cars. So far, with the teams we've tested with, it has been a very small impact on their setups.
Well, the 50 pounds has not made that much of a difference in shifting the weight more to the middle of the car.
I mean, think of it this way. One, the big complaint was we're raising the center of gravity. Well, we did that when we ran dome skids a few years back. So we've been there. They don't have big issue with it. When we came out the Arrow kit, it moved the mass forward. I think it's like 1.1%. We're less than that. So the guys know what to do to the car if they have an imbalance. We didn't throw something on the car that completely threw out all their setups.
Wouldn't want to do that, they'd be mad. You've never been down and run Richmond?
I have, but I mean, it's the first time we've been back since, what, 07, 06?
Something like that. That's a fabulous track.
Yep.
I was really disappointed.
They've completely redone it. It's amazing what they've done to the place. It's going to be a great race. We're real excited.
Well, when we were there, I went to all the races they had until they pulled a pin. And I go out, and I'm really important. I go out and talk to fans. They don't know me from a bag of donuts. And most of them, of course, initially were NASCAR fans.
Right.
Came back, and they said, geez Louise, these cars are faster. They're faster than NASCAR. Really? I said, I think they're faster than NASCAR under caution. I can't believe that they're that fast. Yeah, and of course at night when the cars are all polished and shiny, it's a spectacular
Great show.
Yeah.
Great show.
And the sad part was I was helping Mike James, who was a broadcaster and spotter, and I'd watch the back to see what was going on. He'd call what's going on up in front. And the last year we were there, each year we came, the crowds came around through turn 4, heading to 3. They're going through 1 and coming to 2. And I said, another year or two of this, we're going to have to find another place to sit. And they went yank and pulled it out. So hopefully
this is going to be a long-term relationship. I think our cars, they're spectacular at Iowa, great at Gateway. So I think this will be just another chapter of short track racing in INDYCAR.
Now, as long as you've been around, are you in your heart of hearts an oval fan?
Obviously, growing up in Indianapolis, spending a lot of time at the Speedway, yes, I am.
Okay. I know a lot of people are, whenever Mark is here, somebody they'll say, we want more ovals. And who knows, with the new management, new ownership, that's good possibility there could be one or two added.
We'll see if something comes around. That'd be great.
With your staff of 4, are you on the road a lot? Is the development done primarily here?
Nope. We go to all the tests. Our manager of the engines, he goes to Honda out in California, goes to Ilmore, both in England and in Detroit. If there's something they want to change, we spend a lot of time at Dallara in Speedway. The last couple of years, we spent a lot of time in Dallara in Italy, so we're traveling all the time. Go to all the races, all the tests, and spend a lot of time on the road.
Do you get to keep the miles, or does that go back to the company?
I don't even look and keep track.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am pleased that you were able to, on a last-minute notice yesterday afternoon, actually, to make it here. I think it's interesting what you're doing. I think a lot of people looked at the pictures of the car and they said, oh, this is terrible. I said, I got news for you. I went out and watched them run. You really don't notice that much. When they're going by you at 220 miles an hour, you don't really notice. The only thing different is it looks like the driver's a little lower. You don't see quite as much of it.
Right. I mean, it's just another advancement in racing, and get into it by the end of the year. Nobody will even talk about them. It's just going to be part of the car.
And I think the interesting thing is about INDYCAR, as you guys know, because I know you work hard to make sure that everybody's got equal shot. The number of different teams that can win races, we're in Formula One, right? But 3 or 2.
Yeah, we take pride in that. We, you know, how close the field is in qualifying. At the end of a weekend, you know, any number of teams could have ended up in victory lane. It's very, very competitive, and I think we have the greatest racing in the world.
No question. Is this Arrow screen going to be put into Indy Lights at any time soon?
I don't think it'll be immediately put on an Indy Lights car. It'd require quite a bit of engineering. We definitely will have some sort of safety device on the car next year, and then looking forward, probably, you know, the next step like we did, you know, from this year with what we call the AFP to now the Arrow screen. So we're constantly making sure they're in the same book as we are.
And nothing interferes with the view of the driver as they're sailing around, getting the turns. They don't have to look around anything.
No, the great thing about this is, obviously, we tested just the windscreen last year at Phoenix and at Indianapolis with Scott and Joseph, and we wanted to, one, ensure the clarity of the screen, and both of them said it is great. And then when we introduced the upper frame, we had Scott Dixon go over to Dallara, sit in the simulator with a mock-up of this device, and we simulated running at basically every circuit that we run on, the high banks, the flat tracks, street circuits, and Scott said it's not a visual issue. Then when we built the actual pieces and put them on the cars, that's why we went to the 4 different disciplines to ensure that that visibility still wasn't a problem. And the 7 drivers that have driven the cars, not one of them has complained about visibility.
If I'm not mistaken, at one time there was a rule that the driver had to be able, if he's capable, of getting out of the car in 5 seconds.
Yep.
And they have passed that.
Yes, that hasn't been instigated for quite a while, but
right.
We started testing last year just to see how long it takes the guys to get themselves out of the car. It will be something that they will all be mandated to do going forward. So up till now, that was a big concern of us, you know, can the guys get out of the car? And again, not one of them have complained or said it's going to be an issue.
How about if something happens and be able to reach over that glass and get the backboard behind them and still there's...
Yeah, and again, it's been great. You know, not only have the teams been super cooperative and involved with this, our safety group led by Tim Boffman, from day one, he sat in on all of our engineering meetings. Once we've got a prototype, we put it on a car over at Dallara. He and his safety group went over there and actually extricated a driver, went through a couple processes of how they would do that, and they're very comfortable with it.
They didn't use Owen Snyder in the car, did they?
Pardon me?
Did they use Owen Snyder in the car?
No,
oh.
no.
I was going to say you could have left him there, just strapped him in.
No.
Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to come.
Sure.
I know I've had a lot of questions about it, and of course I have no idea, so I thought, why not just get the man? And your boss said, wait until we're done testing before you talk to him. So I gave you 15 minutes, you're done
There
testing,
you go.
and here you are.
Well, hopefully I answered some questions for you tonight.
I think you have, as far as I'm concerned. I think everybody here got the picture. Yeah, they got the picture.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Vice President of Competition for the INDYCAR Series, Mr. Bill Pappas. My next guests are on their way up here in a minute. I think they're done holding the choir practice back there. I heard something, I don't know, somebody singing maybe. I want to remind you that if you are looking for a vintage car, or if you have one and you say, geez, I'd like to get it restored, I know exactly where to go. In fact, I was there today. The Grand King Race Shop, they can handle anything. I would say they can also rebuild engines, but the moment their engine rebuilder is wounded and unable to perform, but they have some cars for sale if you're looking to get in, and they can fix them if you've got one that needs to be restored. So give them a call. Their office number is 317-820-3959. And if you're coming into town for the PRI show and would like to tour that, it's called a working museum, the Grand King Shop, and they can arrange a couple other stops to look at race shops if you like. give them a call. They have a vehicle, a stretch. It'll pick you up wherever you are, 6 to 8 people, and take you on a tour and then bring you back. Again, the same number, 317-820-3595. Talk to Bill, get it set up. He'll be happy to help you. Is it time for insurance for your home, your car, or your commercial property? Do what so many of us have done. Call Mike Pardee at VP Insurance. They're located at 5004 West 16th Street in the beautiful town of Speedway. Call them up, talk to them, make an appointment, go see them. Number's 317-248-0070. And if you are a vintage car fan, then you've got to subscribe to Speed Tour. Just go to svra.com and subscribe. It's a great magazine, first class. It's not a cheap little rag you get in a grocery store. First class magazine. They've got great stories, and some of the cars that you knew as a kid are out running, and some of the drivers are still in the car. Different car, maybe. But Speed Tour, svra.com, and subscribe to Speed Tour. My next two guests are two ladies I've heard about. One of them I'm a little concerned because of what she does, and the word is if you see their lips moving, something isn't right. But they agreed to come here.
I think it means me.
You or me?
Could go either way.
Know. We'll see. Sitting up here now is a duo that goes by the handle of Fast Cars, Fast Girls. Now, I don't know what the Fast Girls means. I don't want to get into that. I'm going to leave that one alone. But they are Abbie and Molly. Abbie is a critical care nurse.
Correct.
How about that? And there's nothing here.
I know.
Right
That's
there.
really good.
And the young lady sitting next to her is Molly, and she works for the government. She is an attorney. That's the one if they move.
Yeah, that's.
Well,
I
please
charge
welcome-
by the word. I charge by the word.
I hope not here.
Not here. You're good.
done. Oh.
You're good here.
Okay. Please welcome the hostesses of Fast Cars, Fast Girls, Abbie and Molly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us, Don.
I'm sorry?
I said thank you for having us.
Well, I mean, somebody sent me a check for $500 if you bring them out. I don't know if it was them, though. I don't think so.
It might have
Yeah,
been.
good bet.
Yeah. Don't cash it. It's rubber.
So what, I think I'm in trouble.
Yep.
What got you two ladies together to start with? And what made you get into whatever the heck it is you do?
Well,
Uh-oh,
so
I know
interesting
who, I know
enough.
who does the talking? Okay.
I do talk more, but
Yes.
yeah, but Molly talks plenty. But we've actually been friends since we were 5. Molly and I both, yeah,
So you've been friends for what, 15 years?
exactly.
Exactly.
That's
God
exactly
bless you.
right. Well, 16. We are old enough to drink, but
Oh, okay.
just barely.
Okay.
But no, Molly and I both grew up in Speedway when we were younger. In fact, the house that Molly lived in is
Like-
just
Like
behind
100 feet that way.
How come you were never here then? You only had to walk 100 feet to get
Well, I was a little too young.
here. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we've been friends for quite a while, and how we got into the podcast was a day spent high in East Stand at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway during qualifications weekend, which is one of our favorite spots to watch. And
Excellent spot.
we joke and say that it started over a few too many beers and a few too many inside jokes, and we decided we should take our jokes and our insides public.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
So far, it's been for good.
So far it has been.
Now, it said in your bio, which I have, all but one paragraph I picked up off your website,
The internet. Yep. Mm-hmm.
and then I had to figure out how to get rid of the background and all that nonsense, and I'm a real genius with a computer. It said that you travel some or all the time, and you do events on the road, such as
Yes.
what?
So something we just started this last season, and we're hoping to continue into next season, is we attend, I would say, 80% of the races on the road, the INDYCAR races. And the night before the race, for people who are staying at the track, because we camp at the track, because that's where the real fans stay.
You have a tent?
Yeah.
We do.
We do.
We have multiple tents, actually.
What, you two
But
can't be in the
oh, no,
same-
no, no,
No, no,
no. We do stay in the same tent. It's just we go to the Rolex, and sometimes the weather is dicey, so we've got
gotta
a
have
more
two.
serious weather tent, and then we've got a normal IndyCar season tent.
Yes. So,
It never rains or gets windy here, so that makes
oh no, it's perfect weather for all IndyCar races. especially in Alabama. What we're doing now is the night before the race for campers, we have what we call an unplugged event. And so we just invite everybody from the racetrack over to our campsite, and we are lucky enough to have a lot of good relationships with teams that we can get drivers and crew over. And it's just probably one of our favorite events when it comes to the races, because everybody's just hanging out, having a good time, perhaps drinking adult beverages, playing cornhole. I know. A shocker.
But yeah, and we call it an unplugged event because it's not a live podcast, it's not a Q&A, and we wanted it to be something that was fun for not only fans that are there at the track, but also any teams or professionals that come as well. Because at the end of the day, whether you're a professional or a professional race fan, we all started out as just enjoying fast cars, and so we kind of wanted to foster that community of, a little more genuine interaction with different people involved in the sport.
So if somebody is if somebody goes to an event in Iowa, how do they find you? Do you have a big flag up that says?
So funny you should ask.
I thought it was.
For those who know us,
nobody laughed. I mean, it's funny. I asked.
Well, they obviously don't camp at Mid-Ohio, or they would know how to find us. So for races where we have a golf cart, we also decorate the golf cart. But of course, we enjoy decorating our campsite everywhere. And we go a little over the top with the black and white checkers.
A little?
More than a little.
Lot.
We go a lot over the top.
Yeah.
Think Christmas vacation style decorations,
Yes.
just all out. And by happenstance, and thanks to Molly's dad over there, we acquired a giant inflatable pink flamingo that then gets bungee corded to the roof of our golf cart. So it makes it really easy to find us no matter where we are at the track, and to find our campsite. And if it's a track where we don't camp, then it gets put on top of the van that we take to races.
It doesn't get on top of the hotel.
No, but it will sit on top of the van in the parking lot of a hotel.
Yeah. You will always find us.
Yes, the flamingo goes with us everywhere we go.
Has your mom and dad got something against you?
No, they actually love me, I think.
She's their favorite, actually.
Well, it depends on the day.
Well, except for that one time
Yeah, that's right. You actually might be the favorite sibling.
I was for one day.
Yeah, that's true.
Really? What, she have the sniffles, so it made you number one?
Well, no, I engineered an introduction between Chick and his favorite racer of all time, AJ Foyt. So for that day, I was 100%.
Who?
AJ Foyt, you may have heard of him.
Oh, he sells wine down the
He
street.
does, yeah.
sells
No,
wine,
that's
yes.
actually what most people know him for.
Yeah.
I hope so. It's interesting how you do it. I never thought about inviting people in and feed them booze to get them to come in. That's a pretty clever idea.
So we don't actually feed them the booze ourselves.
They have to come on their own.
It's BYOC.
Which means bring your own cooler, bring your own chair. Because we all have camping chairs because we're camping, and most of the time when you camp, you sit in we do the general admission seating, and you sit at different mounds, and of courses such as Mid-Ohio and Road America, there's so many great vantage points that and Barber as well. So many people already have camping chairs. So it just makes it easy, and then we don't have to fill up the van with 20 chairs of our own to accommodate everybody that comes. So in that way, everybody can bring whatever they want. And it is family friendly, so if they want to bring waters and Diet Cokes, that's perfectly fine as well.
Well, it'll keep, if that's what they bring, it'll keep the crowd quiet. They won't be as boisterous.
I don't know. Race fans are always boisterous and loud, and that's kind of why we love them.
I mean, if they get too boring, then we just walk up and say CART or IRL.
And
we walk away.
Walk away and watch the fight ensue.
Now, do you do anything connected with INDYCAR Nation?
So we've worked with INDYCAR Nation. I don't know how many INDYCAR Nation members there are in the crowd. It's a great organization, and we know that there's been some growing pains because they've been under new management for a year, but we do work closely with them. We do a lot. If you've ever been to a autograph session, we're actually the two women who are usually just talking on the stage that you don't pay attention to unless you're right up next to the stage.
But we try to entertain the crowd, make the line feel a little bit less long.
Yeah.
And we've done a couple other events with them and helped lead tours, and so we do enjoy working with them.
I was Riley was ahead of it until the middle of this year.
Yes.
And I've had her here a couple of times. In fact, she was to come here when they found that the door swings out as well as in, and she left.
Yeah.
And the thing that disturbed me about that was, and I am disturbed, is I believe when she joined and took over the leadership, there was like 25 or 30,000 members, and when she left, there was close to 250,000. And everybody that had anything to do with knew her because of the straw hat.
Oh, yes.
So much,
Oh, yes.
they made straw hats and sold the living hell out of them.
Oh, they definitely
They
did.
did.
So now they got a warehouse, Jeff's got a warehouse full of straw hats, and no little gal wearing them.
It's sad and it's unfortunate. She was definitely an amazing person.
Oh,
She
yeah.
really did grow IndyCar Nation, and I know she would say hi to everybody here.
yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, you're correct. She grew IndyCar Nation and really curated it into a very, very cool fan organization.
And the interesting thing was, most everything that came out of there, she did it. Now, how the hell she had the time? And then she had a kid on top. I don't know what she did, but
She's magic, I've decided.
yeah,
She is.
yeah. And she's. I called her. She's still in town, or was.
She is.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I called her. And I said, "I'm sorry. Were you changing the diaper?" No, not right now. No. What do you find most exciting about this series in particular?
Oh my goodness. Ovals? No,
Yes.
well,
yes.
ovals.
yes.
So
All of the ovals. More ovals.
naturally growing up mere feet away from the speedway, and myself not as close but pretty close. I think for us one of the most exciting things are oval races, although we have learned I'm saying we, I'm speaking for both of us. That's okay.
fine.
Okay. We've learned to really love the road and street courses. I think you have to approach road and street courses in a different mindset. You're not going for speed. There's a lot more beauty in the racing with the different turns and watching them outbreak each other. I mean, but at my heart, the most exciting thing are the ovals. I mean, I do want to point that out.
I started out. I saw a guy one day in Chicago on television. I thought, he doesn't know anything. Not that I did either, but I convinced him I did. I looked him up and I said, you need some help with this. What do you want to do? I said, I don't know. I'll go out and film the races because you don't really want to do it. So I caused my demise. I went out and bought a $22,000 16 millimeter motion picture camera. That was long before videotape was even heard of. And I would shoot the racing, and I went to all of the tracks, and I even went to NASCAR when they were just getting started, and I went to race tracks. So am I. Most tracks I could have gone to and take a shotgun and not hit anybody. When I started, there was nobody.
Yeah.
It was really quite interesting. And then this guy decided he didn't want to do it anymore, and he owned a sporting goods store in Glen Ellen, Illinois. So I took over the program, and I would do Formula One. I'd go to Europe. I'd leave Friday, go to Europe, shoot the race, come back, get in late Sunday night or early Monday morning, turn the film in, go to work, get off work at night, pick up the film, edit it, put it together, and stream it live on Tuesday nights. That's why I look so old. It's just, oh boy.
A lot of work.
But, you know, it was fun. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to hang out with Donnie and Bobby Allison and Cale Yarborough and guys. And R.J. Reynolds picked up my motel bill. They paid all my transportation.
That's very nice.
And we'd be sitting around the pool, and about 45 minutes or an hour later, I'm gone. Where'd you go? I can't drink with you guys. Are you kidding me? How the hell they got in the car and drove it the next day is totally beyond me. But, you know, it started, and it was fun. And I'm still doing it. I mean, that was in 1974, I think I started, 73, something like that. And still doing it. The reason I'm here is I enjoy the sport. I enjoy the people in it.
Yes, absolutely.
They do drink on occasion, but there's nobody injecting anything in themselves or any of that nonsense.
Yeah.
And the guys that did do it ended up in jail. I think one of the Whittington's still in jail, isn't he, Bill? I don't know.
I don't know
He
about that.
was. But getting to the street and road courses, I'm sure you've noticed when you go to Road America, you see a race, and all of a sudden they're gone for 2 minutes. You can't see diddly squat. The televisions help a little bit.
They
but
do.
They're gone for a long time.
They
It's,
do.
4.5 mile track? It takes a few minutes to get around.
It does.
Yeah.
But it is a spectacular place. And unfortunately, if you want to go to look at different turns, sometimes you got to go through the woods to get to another turn.
It's true.
We don't know anything about that.
There have been a few times that we've taken some golf cart trips that all of a sudden we're in the woods and it's like, are we still on the property? Did we accidentally leave? We pop out. Okay, there's a racetrack. There's an RV. All right, we're still here.
We found civilization.
And I love St. Pete, but again, there's a place, if you're not where you can see the television, the cars get lost in the baseball field and go around behind you, you lose them. That's what I don't like particularly about road racing, but it is good.
It's true, and I think that different road courses do better than others.
Yes.
Barber, just the way that track was designed, how it folds in on itself, it's a track that has a lot of really great vantage points no matter where you are, and they also, they're not the best with screens, but they do decent with the screens. But you can see a lot of the track from just one spot. Mid-Ohio actually added in new stands and a screen this year that is fantastic, right in the keyhole. You can't see the TV from the new stands, unfortunately. I'm like, you should have.
I know.
In Abbie's perfect world, there would be a TV on the other side as well. But now there's a screen for all the people in the keyhole, which is where we prefer to sit for that race. So
yeah.
But yeah, if you're not in a spot where you can see a screen, it does make it a little hard to kind of stay up on it. So, but we both enjoy listening to the radio as well. So we.
You mean to tell me you're not sitting there with your phone in your hand watching timing and scoring and everything?
So we usually have the radio so we can do in-car communications in our ears, and then we have timing and scoring up on our phone.
I had Buddy McAtee in here the last time he came before he passed away. And he said, trust me, ABC CBS Network's going to be gone. Give it 5 years. And he was pretty close to right.
Yeah.
But now I walk around and the race is on. And so I'm a genius, so I just walk around and people sitting in a grandstand watching a race and they're watching it on their phone.
Oh, I can't watch it on the phone. I got.
What's the point? Why did you come?
Yeah.
That's my point, yeah.
Yeah,
To go home.
We will glance at it, or if there's something that's close, we'll look down and say, okay, what was that split time, or what was that speed? But
what's their lap speed? I'll check that. For the most part, I mean, it's eyes up front, watch it in front.
It is. Well, and one of the things that we always tell our listeners is, don't expect to hear from us during the race.
No.
Because we don't go to a race to spend the whole time on our phone live tweeting it. We assume that other people are also watching the race, and well, with all the hours and money and miles that we spend getting to the races, we want to enjoy it ourselves.
We're going to watch a race.
Because deep down we start out as fans, and so that that enjoyment of that INDYCAR experience is what we want to bring to our listeners. So we tend to not tweet very much during the race unless there's a yellow or a really egregious event that has to be commented on.
We're going to have to talk about.
Or you're walking down to get a beer.
I mean, that's the other times. If you see a quick tweet, it's because one of us is in line for the beer line or the porta potty.
Or a snack.
Or snack, nachos. You like nachos a lot.
I love nachos.
Yeah.
Are you aware of this? She eats nachos. Did you know that?
They do.
Yep.
He's sitting there going, what the hell are you talking to me for?
He's talking to you two. Hi, family. He's talking to you two.
Now, do you do a regular once a week, 1 hour, 2 hours, something?
So it's once a week. We actually are dropping our next episode tomorrow, and we run about an hour. We try not to go over an hour. For the most part, we're good about that.
For the most part. Sometimes, subject matter, we just have a little bit more to say.
Now, people don't come to sit at a table with you wherever you do this.
No, a lot of times it's the two of us talking about it. We do have a lot of interviewees.
Yeah, interviews.
There you go. Actually, tomorrow our episode dropping tomorrow. We interviewed Dave Dusick, who runs the
IKDD.
RKDD. So do you know Dave Dusick?
Oh,
yeah. So
I don't admit it in public, but yeah, I do know.
I don't think he admits he knows us in public anymore.
No, probably not.
No,
probably not. So, but yeah, we do a lot over the phone, or if people are local, we always offer to go to them. Which one of the nice things about being local here in Indianapolis is that there are a lot of race teams that are
local. That's the best part.
So yeah, we've had the pleasure of interviewing Mike Hull in person up at Chip Ganassi headquarters.
That still breaks my heart.
And got a whole tour from him. First, we were there for probably an hour and a half before the interview even started, just getting a tour of the entire place from Mike Hull. And at that point, I turned around, I'm like, we don't even have to talk to him. I'm good. We can go. This was awesome.
Unfortunately, that interview's audio cut out right when he was telling a beautiful story about Dan Weldon, and that's like my biggest heartbreak to this day. It was a great story.
It was a good story.
Do you know Peggy Wheeler?
Peggy Wheeler.
Well, he used to be I met him 30 years ago. He's driving a truck for Dick Simon. And he's been around, he's just been a spotter. He was Dan's spotter in Las Vegas. He was the last person to talk to him.
Oh, wow.
He was here last week. And I didn't bring it up, but he said, I know you were going to ask me. I said, I didn't ask you anything.
You're not going to ask that.
He started talking about Dan and what a great guy he was.
Yeah.
And I had taken something down to him in St. Pete when he was living there. And he asked me to drop it off, so I did. And he said, come on in. I said, no. I know about you, pal. He said, you didn't go in? No. I said, I could have slept on his floor and eaten off the floor in his garage.
Wow.
What the hell do you think his house was like?
Yeah.
Great guy. Now, we have a rocket scientist in-house who was apparently napping.
Okay.
Oh, no.
So I am going to tell you him once again. The young lady closest to me is a nurse, clinical nurse. This is Abbie. The young lady on the end is the attorney if you get in trouble with the state.
You don't want to hear from me.
Yeah. The blonde is Abbie, the dark-haired gal is Molly. Are you straight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that.
We will respond to either name, though.
Yeah, or just girls, as funny as that sounds.
Yeah, a lot of times we just hear, fast girls, and we just turn, hi.
Now, let me ask you, I mean, might be a leading question, but what qualifies you? I'm going to be sorry for this one. To be fast girls. I mean, generally when you hear fast girls, you go, uh-oh.
Okay, this is the point where I embarrassed my mom about the name of our podcast.
Okay. All right, I'll let you tell that story.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't going to.
I know, but I think it explains how we came to the name, and oof. This is a touchy story.
I hope you're prepared for a follow-up question.
Yeah, I will be taking no follow-up questions. Thank you. No, not from you. So when we first started, obviously one of the big things you have to do is decide, well, what in the heck are you going to call your podcast? Because I don't know.
Yeah, and there's so many out there. We want it to be something that was catchy, memorable, and you kind of only get one shot. We didn't want to be, like a band that changes their name
Or
20
Prince.
different times. What now?
Like Prince, changing it to the symbol and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we knew
Or John Cougar Mellencamp.
Yeah, it's fine.
So we decided we wanted to pick a good name. So we put some thought into it. We took some suggestions. We polled the crowd.
Pulled the family members, which is also dangerous. And we knew we wanted it to have something to do with women because one of the things we kind of thought was, man, a lot of women show up at races, but we know that there are a lot of fans out there who probably have a love of the sport and just don't know, it's harder for women to ask questions. So we polled family members, and my sainted mother, and I say she's a saint, she said, well, why don't you call your podcast Two Girls, One Track? And and the laughs
hard no.
Please don't ever Google that. And we
hard
said,
no?
Love you, Mom, but no, can't call it that. Don't ever Google
She's
it.
getting embarrassed and she's about ready to leave.
She might leave. Yeah. Because she doesn't actually know why that's a no, and please don't.
We told her we would not explain it.
She's not allowed to Google it.
We're like, no, and we will not tell you why.
So we knew that the biggest thing about INDYCAR is that our cars are the fast, and they're the fastest out there. So fast cars was kind of already decided, and
then we thought we'd be a little cheeky, a little tongue-in-cheek. Fast cars, fast girls.
I told you I was going to be sorry.
Please don't ever Google anything around what my mother said. And I will swear on a stack of Bibles and the Constitution, she has no idea still. Right?
Now, the
dear.
connotation fast girls, do you drive to the track fast? Do you drive your golf cart fast? What the heck?
I'm going to have to step in here as the attorney for the podcast and say we can't answer how fast we drive down to Daytona.
That's very true. Actually, Molly is also my personal attorney, and so with all of you in the room, I don't have privilege. There's a lot of times that somebody will ask a question, and I just say, I can't answer that in front of you and Molly. I could answer it in front of just you and then deny it later, or just Molly, but not all of you together.
Though you did
we do make great time. I'll say that.
Really good time.
Now, you work for the state.
I do.
What do you do for the state? In what department are you legal advisor?
So I actually don't work for the state in a legal role. I am the interim program integrity director for the state's Medicaid. So Indiana Medicaid.
That's a connection, okay.
Well, no, we've known each other since we were 5.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So no, it's my job to make sure that the providers who are in Indiana's Medicaid are doing what they're supposed to do.
Are they?
For the most part.
I see.
And if they're not, they hear from Molly, and then it's not their favorite day.
Then they get letters from me, and they really hate me.
I see.
Although you have worked as an attorney. You were a former deputy attorney general.
I was a former deputy attorney general who took licenses away from medical professionals. So I apparently just hate medical professionals, except for you.
That's all that matters to me.
That's true.
Does she take care of malpractice if something happens?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she would, but I've never needed that. So I always say I've never killed any patient on accident. So.
All right. Now, how did you get into the medical world? What got you in there?
Actually, my mom is also a registered nurse. So I grew up with a mom as a nurse, which for anybody that has nurses in the family, we're a rare breed. So I already had a dysfunctional sense of humor. And so it just made perfect sense that I would go on to nursing school and kind of follow in my mom's footsteps.
And in what organization do you perform your duties?
I do not answer that publicly, but it is an Indiana hospital.
Yeah, she can't.
You can't say where you are?
No.
What if I'm sick?
No, hospitals have a very strict social media policy, and so anything that you say publicly, if you're affiliated with them, they can use anything you say to fire you or...
It's true.
Yeah. I say, or,
Really?
suspend you, etc. And then you're retroactively responsible for anything on social media from its creation, etc. So I just never publicly say where I work. But if you see me at work, I'll be very friendly to you.
And she's also an excellent nurse. I will say that. She's really great.
In fact, one of my patients is sitting over there. Oh, that was a HIPAA violation. No.
That's okay. You wave. Do you wave, Pappas,
I'm
sir?
kidding. He says that. He tells people that.
Really?
He does.
Oh. Well, I'm just going to have to. We've got something that we're going to do for the next couple of weeks. We're going to every hospital in town and find where the hell she is. That's it.
Well, Don, I'll tell you privately off air.
He really wanted you to say on air, but that's okay.
No.
I know.
I'm just thinking in case I have a stroke or heart attack, can you help?
Actually,
Well, if you have a heart attack, I'm the nurse you want.
yeah, that's true.
I'm a cardiac nurse, so.
Oh, there you go. Do you do anything assisted surgeries at all? Or you?
Not in my current job. I have at other jobs, and I've taken care of fresh open heart patients and heart transplant patients, kidney transplant patients,
Lung transplant patients.
lung transplant patients. Yep. Which we could actually chat about that because that's one of Molly's passions, I would say. So.
You want to get your lungs transplanted?
No, that one has. So.
Oh, damn. Oh.
Yep, Molly's dad is a double lung transplant recipient, which is one of the reasons that Molly is a volunteer advocate for Indiana Donor Network.
Look, dang it, everywhere we take him, he gets applause.
I know.
But anyway, so that's it's always been a big cause to us, and so that's why we're really excited that INDYCAR and in the Indianapolis 500, there's usually a car sponsored by Indiana Donor Network. Pippa has driven it last 2 years, and prior to that, it was Stephen Wilson, who's just a sweetheart.
And actually, something that was very cool, it was 2 years ago when Stefan drove the Driven to Save Lot, or was he the donor?
It was 3.
3 years, okay. But I was at a hospital where I was working on a transplant unit, and he had names of patients waiting for transplants on the wing of his car, which is very cool. Well, I found out on a day that I was off work, he came to the hospital I had been working at and met a couple of the patients and was there, and there was a whole photo op, which was very funny to me because it was like, of all the days for me to not be at work, the day that an IndyCar driver comes in is the one day that I'm at home. But one of the patients that I took care of was actually on the front wing, and by the time between them wrapping the car and the Indy 500, that patient received their transplant.
That was really cool.
So that means that if I know you, and I don't know except I'll send you an email that if I need a heart transplant, you're there.
We'll make sure you get taken care of.
Absolutely.
How about that? We promise you this. I'll make sure you get taken care of.
In fact, I might even sneak in some contraband like Diet Coke. I have been known to do that. So
Do what? What was that?
sneak some Diet Coke in. Most cardiac units don't have Diet Coke that has real caffeine in it, and some lung transplant recipients are just much nicer people when they have regular Diet Coke. So
It's for the safety of the hospital.
it was a gift for everyone.
If I get confined for some reason and have to stoop to bring my own, I prefer Pepsi. But
10-4.
We can do that. We can make that happen for you too. Sorry, I keep
you know,
touching you.
the interesting thing, your dad might be familiar, maybe, and I'm not sure, but my father had a heart attack. He was in the hospital for 4.5 weeks.
Wow.
Now they send you out 2 days later. Or
It's
3.
It's wild how much medical technology has advanced, and it also depends on how severe the heart attack is. But
Now, the track has been sold. Are you teary-eyed?
So we're teary-eyed because the Holman family have been, and we talked about this word, stewards. We love that word, stewards.
That's what he said.
It's the best word, and I think the Holman family has been an absolutely wonderful steward of the track. They took it from a non-used track during, the World War II era. It was just ran down, and built it into the premier sports venue in the world. And I would stand and fight anybody who had anything different to say. It's the premier sports venue, and I'm sad about that, but I'm excited because I think at his core, Roger Penske is an amazing businessman, and he is looking already 5 to 10 years down the road. Say what you will about perhaps his techniques or his sandbagging, as people have said a lot. But I think that he is looking to make the IMS and the series from already great to, I don't know what you
even better.
Even better, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things I tweeted out that day was it's kind of nostalgic because it's the end of an era with this change of hands, but it's a continuation of a great legacy. And I think that Roger Penske is coming in, not that he needs to tear things down and start from square one, just let's take what we have and add in little things to make it an even better product.
I think there'll be some changes for the better.
Yes.
I think Allison Meglinton will be busier. I have a feeling they will bring in some and she'll be here in 2 weeks.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah, she is.
She's awesome.
But every time I invite her, she has to bring Mintner with her, and I don't understand that. I said, I'm not going to attack you. I'm too old. I couldn't catch you anyway. But we'll see.
Maybe try that next time. You're like, you're going to
With
have
any luck, we will get Roger in here. I think it's a very good possibility that will happen.
Excellent.
It may not be for a while, but you never know.
You never know.
He'll be here for PRI. Come on now.
Well, and
I know a couple of people that might be able to help.
I imagine that you do.
Run into since 1964, 74 when I started it.
So maybe you know him for just a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, so how do they find you tomorrow night?
So you can find
So
buttons. Thank you. You can find us all of our social media and everything on our website www.fastcarsfastgirls.com.
How did you come up with that?
Well,
Molly's mom.
my mom. Or if you just Google us. I think if you just Google Fast Cars, Fast Girls, it will,
It will come up.
Yeah.
That's how I found it.
It will. Yes. No, it will bring up our website and all of our social media. You can listen to our podcast directly from our website. We also have a Facebook page, an Instagram, a Twitter, and we are on every podcast host site there is. So if you have a smartphone, you can download our podcast.
Okay. Do you stream live on Facebook and Twitter? No, we do. This one is.
Yeah, I know. You guys stream live.
That's because of him. I don't know how to do it. I haven't a clue.
We do not do our episodes live. We don't stream live anyway. We like the option to edit occasionally.
Sometimes
Sometimes as necessary. But we do some different live videos throughout race season when we're at tracks and different things like that. We do a lot of live videos, just not our podcast each week.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I used to drag my camera to the racetrack and set it up in the press room.
You can just do your little What do you got? Oh, here we go. This is it.
Oh my gosh, I almost just said, if he pulls out a flip phone.
Flip phone. All right.
I knew it was going to be a flip phone.
That's
In my
awesome.
soul, I knew it was.
That's amazing.
Well, I can
Did
take-
you see they're making a new
take-
Motorola
I
Razr?
I'm sorry?
The Motorola Razr, they've got a new phone that is a flip phone. It's a smartphone, but it flips because so many people really enjoy the flip.
I love it.
It's kind of, you can,
There's something satisfying about when you end a phone call to just flip it closed.
Yeah, when I'm tired of listening to you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's not as satisfying to hit the button, especially if you're,
People say you should have a smartphone. Why? Because you can get your emails. I get 600 a day. I don't want them in my pocket.
I get that, man.
You don't want to be that accessible.
No. Well, you can go on websites. I don't need. I'll go home and do that.
There you go.
So, ladies, it's been a pleasure. www.fastcarsfastgirls.com. Look it up. Listen in. They're good.
Thank you.
Next week, my two scheduled guests, Donnie Beecher, and you will find him very interesting young man if you haven't listened to him before. And he accomplished something that young race drivers need to listen to, and I'm trying my best to get him in front of the young upcoming drivers to tell him, and have him tell them what he did and how he accomplished what he has done is amazing. And of course, Bill Throckmorton will be my other guest, and hopefully we may have something tonight. But he's got all kinds of stuff going on at the Grand King Shops. There's an event on Friday night of PRI down there. There's all kinds of stuff, so we'll find out what he's going on. Until next week, thank the young ladies, Abbie and Molly, for being here, and Bill Pappas. Till next week, Don Kay saying good night. See you next week. Oh, I forgot. I got to say hello to Kenny and Janine, who are down in Florida listening. And Nina stayed home for some unknown reason. She isn't here.
Forgot to say anything. Hi to the painter.
We'll see her tomorrow. Thanks. See you.